Hi everyone, welcome to my brand new YouTube channel. My name is Robin, and today I would like to start what I hope will be a series of retro gaming. What the games are that I fell in love with and what made me a gamer. And I'm hoping to introduce quite a few of them, but today we are starting with the game that started it all, the game that made me a gamer, and that's Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. Now, I'm going to do my best to not give too many spoilers, but there is a particular puzzle that I'm going to discuss where I do sort of give away the answer. So if you haven't played this game before and you're interested in playing it, I will give you a heads up when that puzzle is coming and you can maybe skip ahead, or, go ahead, play the game first and come back and see me. But in any case, whether this is an introduction to or maybe a reintroduction, a reminding of why it's a great game, I hope you enjoy. Let's get started. Now, in 1982, LucasArts was founded by George Lucas. LucasArts was one of the top producers of adventure games in that time. In fact, you will more than likely see quite a few of these games pass through this channel as we go along. They're games that I played in my youth and continue to return to in this day and age. When they were taken over by Disney, they sort of closed down most of LucasArts. I think they left a very small number of people for licensing reasons, and the only thing they sort of continue to focus on is the Star Wars franchise. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Star Wars, but I miss what they used to make. And that's where Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis comes in. So Indiana Jones was originally made on these large floppy disks. I don't know if anyone remembers this. This is how my game used to look. Maybe I'm just old, I don't know. But this is how my game looked. This isn't actually my game. I actually found this photo on Reddit, but this is what we had. Now, as it turns out, only a year later, so that would have been 1993, they re-released the game on CD-ROM with voices. Now, I didn't actually know they had done this. I had always played the game without any voices. Even years later, when I went and was looking for the game and found it on abandonware sites, it was never with the voices. So when I found it on GOG.com, I was very surprised to hear the voice acting. Absolutely shocked that Harrison Ford didn't reprise his role as Indiana Jones. But, I have a very specific memory of watching my dad play this game and me sitting on one side and my younger brother sitting on the other and helping him solve the puzzles. Later on, when I got a little bit older, it was me in the driver's seat sort of controlling the game with my brother helping. At least that's what I used to tell him so that he wouldn't want to actually play. But yeah, very specific memories of this game, and even later when I went looking for it, coming back to it, and I still do. I come back to it every couple of years, I'll play it. So when I decided to start my Twitch career, I am on Twitch. I play a variety of games, but I knew that the very first game that I wanted to play had to be Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. It's the game that started everything. So it made sense that despite the fact that, I wasn't exactly going to be pulling in viewers with this particular game, it was just something I had to do, even if it was just for myself. So I did. And it hasn't lost any of its appeal. Now, a little bit about the game. It's 1939. And Indiana Jones you start out looking for an object, an artifact. Now, this artifact is supposed to contain a secret to ultimate power, an Atlantean power, a power that is supposed to make the nuclear bomb look like a child's toy. And the Nazis are after this particular power. And of course, in true Indiana Jones fashion, you do actually find this artifact, and it is very, very quickly taken away from you. So the rest of the game is basically you chasing the power of Atlantis. Now it's not just the fact that this game has a incredible original story, all these different locations that you can visit. The dialogue is snappy and fantastic, and the humor is very Indiana Jones. If you've seen the movies, you'll know what I'm talking about. But the main reason this game continues to astound me, and the reason I can continue to go back and replay it over and over and over, is the WTF system. Yeah, you heard me. WTF. Wits, team, fists. The first part of the game, you have a number of puzzles you need to solve. As far as I'm aware, these puzzles are always the same, or they always have been for me. There are different ways, however, of solving it, particularly the very sort of first puzzle that you encounter, which is trying to get in a stage door. There are 3 ways to do it, and depending on how you choose to solve those puzzles, the game will actually give you an option of how you would like to play the second part of the game, and that is either wits, team, or fists. Now, the game will suggest the best option for you based on how you've played the game thus far. However, the ultimate choice is up to you, and what you choose then defines this sort of middle part of the game. So of these 3 ways to play, I have never played the fists version of it. I've played team and I've played wits several times, but never fists. There is a reason for this. First of all, if there is a way to get around fighting people, I will do it. Surprise, surprise, I'm not great at shooter games. But if I can avoid a fight, I will. Second of all, the fighting minigame in this is atrocious. I mean, it's better than it was in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which is another game that they made a few years before Fate of Atlantis. But yes, it's kind of rough. So I've never played the fists version of this game. Now, the game itself has a good ending and it has 2 bad endings. I can almost 100% assure you that you will get one of these bad endings on a first playthrough. I am a big believer in the save early, save often. If you know anything about adventure games, especially from the 90s, you should know this rule well and truly. The age-old adage of save early, save often is definitely applicable. Now, in saying that, the ways of actually dying in this game are minimal. There are a few, but they're usually pretty obvious. You're gonna see them coming. So, save early, save often, save on different files, especially towards the end, especially if you want to try out all the different endings. Definitely worth using different files for your save games. The other thing that I love about this game is that the puzzles will actually give you the answer. If you take some time, if you can't quite figure it out immediately, if you keep talking to people, they're actually going to hint at the answers if you're listening. Now, the perfect example of this is where I was talking about that you're going to kind of see the spoiler to one of the puzzles. Now, this is in the team mode of this game, and there is a puzzle with a knife thrower, and you're trying to convince your partner in crime, as it were, Sophia, to volunteer for this knife thrower. When you first talk to her and suggest it, she says no, and when you sort of say, come on, she threatens violence against you. And then, she goes up and she takes a look. She says, okay, well, and she goes and she stands, but she still says no. She's still not approaching the knife thrower. So let's talk to her again. So I don't know if you noticed there, but she actually gives you the answer. She asks you to stop pushing her. Yeah, we're gonna have to push her into it. Now this puzzle is, it's clever, it's funny, the answer of it is fantastic, the responses, and I have to admit it took me forever to figure it out. In fact, I'm pretty sure the first time I saw the answer to this puzzle was when my dad was playing it. It took us forever to figure out that that's what you had to do. But I'd like to think, that by now, in my old age, that I have learned to read the text in games or listen to the conversations a little bit better to pick up the clues. I'd like to think that if I played it now for the first time, I would have picked up that little hint. I like to think. In any case, you know, that's just a couple of reasons that this game is just so good. And not to mention replayable. I mean, not only do you have these 3 different modes that you can go through and play the game, maybe, you know, going through the first section of the game and trying to find all of those different ways of solving the puzzles. I was doing some research to kind of see what people were still saying about the game, and one thing I found was an article that actually said that the puzzles changed slightly as well. Now, I know that in the middle part of the game, depending on the mode you've chosen, yes, definitely, puzzles change. But for the first section of the game, I'm pretty sure they're always the same. I might be wrong. If I am wrong, I would love to hear it, and someone comment below. Let me know. Another interesting article I found was actually somebody commenting on the problematic... This is Indiana Jones that we're talking about here. You know, it's... yeah, the cultural kind of his way of approaching archaeology. I mean, if you didn't watch the movie, then yes, you might find that kind of upsetting in the game, but having watched the movies, you know, that is what they did. I'm not excusing it, and that goes as well for the sexism that you can see in the game, especially if you sort of look at it now. Now, you know, when I was a teenager, I probably wouldn't have noticed it. Of course I notice it now, knowing better as I do. Does this change my enjoyment of the game? No. It's like watching a Bond movie and not expecting to sort of roll your eyes at the blatant sort of sexism and the way he talks to women and treats women, and that sort of overly masculine. I mean, it's James Bond, you know, it was part of a culture at the time, and I can still enjoy what was without, you know, without it bothering me too much. In saying that, if they created a game like this now, would I expect better? Yes, of course I would. But, you know, considering we're talking about retro games here, they are from a different age, I'm going to give it a pass. Don't excuse it, but I'm giving it a pass. It's still... I'd love to hear your comments if you've played this game, if, you know, you found some of those issues that I was talking about just now. You know, what mode did you choose of the WTF modes? You know, what did you go with? I'd love to hear about it. I hope you enjoyed this brief introduction to retro games. Like I said, there will be more. I plan on playing more games and uploading the content to YouTube, or at least a review of said content. If you're interested in maybe suggesting a retro game or coming to watch, you can find me at twitch.tv/TigerLil, which you can just see on the screen now. And yeah, I'd love to see you. So thanks for watching, and have a good one. And hey, happy gaming. If you like what you've seen here today, I do hope you'll consider subscribing and giving me a thumbs up. It's my first video. I plan on doing more, and I plan on working on it and hopefully making things look a little bit more professional in future, and hopefully I might lock the cat out next time. Yeah. Thanks for watching.